Hey all, Hibber here, welcome back to the channel, and if you're like me, you're probably quite excited about the upcoming Switch 2. So in this video here, I'll go through 10 games that I hope will run much better on the new Switch console. So if you own a Switch, then you know that some of the games, especially the more modern ones, they don't really run as smoothly as we'd like it to, although still it is really nice to have some of the more modern games available on a handheld platform. But first of all, let's go through my top 10 here. And the first game I'm going to point out. So this game is one of my all-time favorites, if not my favorite game of all time. And it is the closest you'll get to play Baldur's Gate 3 on the Switch consoles, at least for now. Maybe on Switch 2 we'll actually get Baldur's Gate 3. But if you look at Divinity II here, it's fairly good. It is chugging a little bit. The frame rate really isn't as high as I'd like it to be. And, it's understandable because this is a demanding game. But I'm hoping that on Switch 2, perhaps we can get a stable 30 frames per second, or maybe even 60, with some sort of update from, the developers. But this game here, although it is running fairly nicely, it does need a little bit of more oomph to actually get up there and be just as good as, for example, the iPad version that's available now. Alright, so the next one is a classic, and it is of course good old Skyrim. Now I am very happy to be able to play this game on the Switch, be able to play it on the go. I can play Skyrim on the plane when I'm flying somewhere far away. It's wonderful. I'm just hoping that once Switch 2 releases, that Bethesda will put out a patch for Skyrim, so it kind of looks like the Skyrim that runs on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, for example. As you can see here, it is quite barren. There aren't many bushes, for example, on the land, and the lighting also isn't as impressive as it is on the more improved versions on the consoles. On the other hand, it is still an amazing game, right? And even without a patch from Bethesda, I'm hoping that the Switch 2 hardware will propel the frame rate at least a little bit, at least, get rid of the worst dips. Of course, it's not going to improve the graphics without some sort of patch, like I said. But maybe the frame rate will just be, at least stable at 30 frames per second. So Skyrim, yeah, I'm hoping it'll be, improved a bit. Next up, we have Aloy's Adventures on Switch. And of course, Horizon Zero Dawn Lego here is available on many consoles, but I just think it works really well on Switch. And it does run fairly well, but again, a more stable frame rate would be nice. And I think the Switch 2 hardware could give that without any sort of, patching. But in the end, it really depends on how Nintendo manages this. And next up, it's my favorite cat game here. Also, in this case here, the frame rate is actually quite okay, but I just wish there was a little bit more done to the lighting here. And, Switch 2 hopefully has enough grunt to up the resolution a bit here, for example. That would be nice, especially in handheld mode. And like I said, the frame rate is okay. I would, of course, prefer 60 frames per second, but it's okay. But I would like to see something done to the lighting in this game here in particular. Alright, so next up I have a game I'm really looking forward to play on Switch 2, and there's a very specific reason for that. It is of course Borderlands 3, and it's a game I've never actually finished on any other console, so I've kind of been saving it to play through it on Switch. And once I get my Switch 2, if you go in here to the visual section, you can see you can actually choose not to limit the frame rate at all. So I'm kind of thinking that once Switch 2 comes out, and given that you're able to play Borderlands 3 on it, but I'm pretty sure you are, if you set the frame rate limiter to unlimited, you should be able to play this game at a very high frame rate. Maybe even 60, maybe even higher than that, who knows. So yeah, I'm very looking forward to this one. So let's see how that turns out. Alright, so next up, again we have a bit of an oldie here. It's Alan Wake. This is the remastered edition. But the problem with the remastered edition on Switch is that it looks pretty much just like the original version. The improvements in the remastered version, other than in the cutscenes, you can't really see because this version here is just so muddy. Like the resolution is quite low. Sometimes it goes all the way down to like 320 by, you know, like 240, something like that. Very, very low. You know, it helps when you play it in docked mode, but handheld, it's very, very grainy. So this is a game that would definitely benefit from at least a patch on Switch 2, because the frame rate also suffers a bit, but a patch would be very nice from Remedy. Alright, so next up we have the Snowrunner and the Mudrunner games here. And although they run just like the other games, they run on the Switch and they run fairly decent. Like, the resolution is quite low, and sometimes it takes a real dip and you can really see the individual pixels all the time. So I'm hoping that with the Switch improved hardware that won't happen, and you'll actually stay at the maximum resolution and the maximum frame rate all the time, which will help a lot in this game here and in Snowrunner. And next up, of course, we have The Witcher 3. Now again, this game will probably run more smoothly on the Switch 2, which will be nice. But what I'm really looking for here in The Witcher 3 is for the environment details to be turned up a bit. You can see there's an awful lot of pop-in, for example, and like the resolution overall and the texture resolution also very, very low. Now, of course, you can't change this without a patch to the game, so hopefully that'll come out. If not, then at least the frame rate, if we are, you know, as we hope, should improve a bit here in The Witcher 3, and that should be okay, really. But again, I would prefer a real patch that improves the whole game. Alright, so the next game I've chosen here is a bit of a weird one. It's the Entropy Center, and this is actually a very good game. It's very like Portal, if you've ever played that before, but it's also very, very different. It's a bit of a, you know, a brain-teasing game, and it does run on Switch, but it is a little bit chuggy, as you can tell here. The frame rate isn't stable, and also the textures are extremely muddy. So the frame rate, hopefully Switch 2 can just fix that on its own, but some sort of update would also be nice here. Alright, so as the last game, I've chosen Everpace, because although I'm hoping that Everpace 2 will come out on Switch 2, and then we don't have to worry about the old Everpace anymore, I still like to play it, and especially if Everpace 2 doesn't materialize, then this is all I have. Now, the problem in Everpace is that the frame rate takes a real beating sometimes. It's a beautiful game and it runs fairly well on the Switch, but when there's a lot of you know, action on screen, lots of meteorites and lots of, you know, polygons in general, the frame rate tends to take a real hit, and it makes it hard to aim and it makes it hard to really survive. So it does impact the gameplay quite a bit. So if Switch 2 can just up the frame rate here without any further ado, that would be excellent. But of course, a better solution would be to get Everpace 2. So those were the 10 games that I've chosen that I think would benefit the most from running on Switch 2. Let me know in the comments if you agree or not, and I'll see you out there.